had some really good days on the bike that are not racing. So actually recently I've been doing a bit more gravel biking, just being able to go off and explore different places without any pressure, because I think the racing is obviously great and I love racing, but sometimes it's really nice to be able to just kind of cruise around a bit, take in the views, not have any pressure of trying to go fast or racing people. So day last week where we found this amazing gravel track going over the North York Moors, and it's kind of like you were quite high up. We had to walk for a little while to get up onto the nice track, but when we're up there you then just have this incredible track going all the way through the moors for ages, like really nice gravel, hardly anyone on it. And that was probably one of my favourite days on the bike. And then we ended it off coming down the old train line from Whitby to Scarborough. Also, you know, kind of perfect sort of gravel biking territory, and so that was really fun. Yeah, and to be fair, I don't have a power meter on my road bike either, mainly because I use that more for just kind of endurance riding and just getting the miles in as opposed to specific efforts. And I actually had a period this winter was probably the longest time I went without having a power meter, because I was getting my bike repainted, my TT bike. So I did end up doing quite a lot of efforts where I had no power, but I was just trying to gauge it off, either going full out or going quite hard and doing it more of perceived effort rather than power. I quite like numbers and I quite like power, but where it's good to then take in sort of perceived effort or potentially heart rate are kind of on the days when you're just not quite feeling it. So, you know, the other day I did a 10-mile TT and like my power numbers were rubbish because I was still a bit tired from the weekend and just generally legs weren't really feeling it. And I think you're always going to get days like that when you just don't have the power, and then it's just going about, well, how hard can I push? Like, I'm not necessarily going to be pushing out amazing power, but I'm still trying quite hard. Yeah, it kind of depends on the session. Like, I do find for sort of specific intervals or doing some of the longer Ironman block training, I find it helpful having the power as a guide, but I think you can do it without power and just do it off effort. Most races, I think particularly at the kind of Ironman distance as opposed to the 70.3 distance, 70.3 I will try a bit more to be like, right, this is the power I think I can hold, I'm just gonna go for it. Whereas Ironman, a bit more, I'll just go for it, this feels quite comfortable, and I'll probably look a little bit more at my heart rate as opposed to just power, because I think over that kind of longer duration it's more important to kind of make sure you're not going too hard or that your heart rate is at a kind of alright level. But again, I always have numbers that I'd like to be hitting. It's just whether or not you hit them. Yeah, out of the swim bike run, definitely cycling's always been my best. I guess I did a little bit of swimming when I was younger, but never really properly and never competitively, so I didn't really have that swim base. And I think running, again, I did bits of it ad hoc but never sort of properly. I think cycling's the easiest out of all of them to improve at quite quickly. Cycling's always been the strongest, and it will probably continue to be the strongest, probably because it's the one I like the most as well. I think number one would be just to invest in a slightly better bike to start with. You're probably going to get hooked, and I bought like a really basic bike to start with, and it probably lasted about a year before I was like, I need to upgrade. So, or, you know, at least buy a fairly decent frame and then you can kind of upgrade other bits. Don't think it's worth getting a TT bike until either you're doing the longer distance stuff or you decided that you really want to do time trials or things like that. But I think generally start with a road bike, it's a bit more versatile. I think number two is, you know, find yourself that good group to go cycling with, ideally of people that are a little bit better than you that help push you on. I think number three would be, don't be scared of trying things and going out your comfort zone. I think it's really easy to look at what other people are doing and, oh, I can't do that. I think back to when I started cycling and the thought of trying to cycle 100k was like, wow, that's so far, I can't do that. And then, you know, you do your first 100k and then you're like, oh, okay, I can do that. And then you're like, oh, 100 miles, no, that's so far. And it's amazing how often if you just try something and do it, then don't be afraid to try things and just throw yourself in and see where you get to. like a longer ride that's got TT efforts in, or if I'm specifically prepping for an Ironman, I'd say no cafe stops. But if it's more of a kind of a social, just getting some distance in and endurance and you're with friends, then yeah, I think cafe stop is good. Well, you need to get a good chunk done before you get your cafe stop, because you need to be hungry enough to have cake.